Joe Zarzaur here again for another installment of Zarzaur Law TV. Today we have a special guest, Officer Ramos with the Florida Fish and Wildlife. And this segment we're going to talk about what a boater captain should expect if they're pulled over for a safety check. I guess that's what y'all call it. I had asked Officer Ramos off the camera what is more likely a boater to come into contact with a Florida Fish and Wildlife through an infraction or more likely a safety check. And he said actually, I don't know if they call it a safety check or not, but he said actually you're more likely to get stopped for just I guess y'all's typical run through the safety kind of thing, right? What do you call that?
We call it a boating safety inspection, a BSI.
BSI. So I thought it'd be a good idea for Officer Ramos to tell us what a BSI, what they're looking for, what the process looks like. Do they board the vessel? Do they stop you? Is there some signal that it's a BSI stop versus an infraction stop? That kind of thing. Go ahead and tell us what that's like.
Yeah, we conduct a lot of different kinds of stops. I mean, we have the authority to stop roadside on the water and check just for the sole purpose of boating safety, and we do that quite often. But also, if we see a vessel that's operating a little erratically or violating a navigation rule or something like that, by all means, we're going to stop them. If we see a vessel that's got a whole lot of fishing poles displayed on it, or we watched them fish already, we're going to stop them and check for fish and or game. We have a lot of people who use vessels just to go up in the rivers and hunt game and stuff like that. And so, as an FFWC officer, we're looking at not only boating safety, but also conservation law enforcement issues, fish and game and things like that. When we come up next to a boat, most of the time we'll approach a vessel on their port side, on the left-hand side. The reason that we do that is the Coast Guard standard requires that you have to have your annual registration sticker on the left-hand side of the boat. Right. So we're going to come up on your port side, we'll identify ourselves to you, we'll either wave at you or ask you to slow it down, bring it down to idle, or you may have blue lights or a horn or something like that to get your attention. Doesn't mean that you necessarily have done anything wrong. It means that we want to conduct an inspection.
Right.
And so we're going to stop next to you. If you have fishing poles hanging off the side of the boat, we're going to ask you to move those over so we don't damage them when we come up next to you. And we're going to ease up next to you. And at that point, we're looking at everything on the boat already. We're looking at the operator, we're looking at the people, we're looking for fish, we're looking for safety equipment that's already displayed that will actually make our job easier. But most of the time, we'll stop and just introduce ourselves, say, I'm Officer Ramos, FFWC, Captain, just want to go through a boat safety inspection. Or, hey, I see that you just came in from the Gulf, you got a bunch of fishing poles out there. How are you fishing out there today? Let's take a look at your fish and let's look at your safety equipment as well. Something to that effect right there. And then we'll get into...
Are you tied up to the vessel at that point, or do you just motor alongside?
Depends on what our patrol platform is, depends on what their boat is, depends on the environment.
Okay.
So a lot of factors. We're always cognizant about not damaging the public's vessels.
Right.
So even though we have the right to stop them, we don't have the right to damage their stuff.
Right.
So we'll take a lot of that. If we're working two officers on one boat, a lot of times we'll ease up next to them, we'll drop an officer off on that boat, back off, and then let that officer do the inspection.
Okay.
And there's a lot of ways that we do that depending on the environment and the boat and things like that. So it can be done a few different ways.
So the boater's probably nervous, right? Everybody's going to be a little nervous, like, I probably don't have something or whatever. Yeah. And what do you do? What's the process? What's the BSI process once you get on the boat? What's that like?
Well, it starts with us communicating them first off in the fence. Hey, I'm Officer Ramos, doing that introductory phase. We're just stopping you guys to check your fish. Just stopping you to look at your safety equipment. Your veterans out here, they understand the game. They've been doing it long enough. They know that if they have all their safety equipment squared away and if they have their fish ready presentable, we can be on and off that boat in about a minute, maybe 2 minutes at the most. It's quick for the ones who understand what we're looking for and what we're doing. For the people who are not prepared, and I say, okay, Captain, I'm looking for your safety stuff. Show me a life jacket for everybody on board. Well, I've got one up here, and he looks up there, and it's not there. And he goes to the back of the boat, and he finds one, and there's 3 people on board. Well, now we have a violation, we have an issue. Okay, so
now they can be in a compartment. They don't have to be on the person unless the person's 6 or younger and the boat's underway. If the boat's underway and they're 6 or younger, they have to have it on.
Correct. Yeah, if the vessel is less than 26 feet. Yeah, that is correct.
But what if the vessel's longer than 26 feet?
Then the 600 doesn't have to have it on.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And then what if all the things are up in a compartment?
That's perfectly fine. As long as the standard is by Coast Guard rules is readily accessible. So 1 or 2 steps to get to something is perfectly fine. So an example is my vessel here. If I need to get to my throw cushion, That's readily accessible.
You said full cushion, but it can be a ring buoy too.
Yep, so the way this is actually defined is, there's another one in there, is by the United States Coast Guard. This is called a Type 4. Yep.
And this is a cushion?
Yep, we call them a throw cushion, but the reality is it's Type 4, and you'll have the same stamp on there as a Type 4. So
can you see that?
Two different examples of what a Type 4 throwable device are, right?
Versus a life vest, which is...
Exactly. So that's still a requirement for everybody. But you see, they're going back to readily accessible, right? So you see how fast I was able to get to that equipment. If I ask for your life jacket and you're stumbling around and a minute or 2 minutes pass and you can't get that, even if you have it on board, it's not really accessible. Another component is that we look for...
One more question, Officer Ramos. Does this have to be tied to anything? Like, what good is this if you don't have it tied to a line?
So the difference is, so if I have a life jacket on here, or one right just right here, it's designed for my personal flotation. This is designed to aid somebody who's in distress off of your boat.
Right.
So you can't throw this but 5 feet. This you can throw 20 or 30 feet.
Okay, I got you.
So that's why it's a Type 4 throwable
But does it have to be tied to a line that you hold on to? No.
Not at all. Okay, not at all. Not at all. So, I interrupted you, sorry. No, that's okay. We can take this 50 different ways.
Right.
This is what we're looking for. We want to make sure people know where their safety stuff is, that they have it, and that it's in serviceable condition. If you pull this, sorry, I probably lost your audio for a minute. If you pull this life jacket out on the boat and you tell me this is your life jacket,
oh yes, perfect.
I'm going to tell you no, it's no good. Okay, and we can see the reason why. Because as soon as you put this on under stress, you put some weight on it, that person wearing this is going to go right through it. So this is not a serviceable life jacket, whereas the other ones are good to go.
Right.
So, but going back to your original question, when we conduct the safety inspection, we're going to talk to the public about, what we're doing, and we're going to answer questions like this as we go along. But we want to make sure that they have their fire extinguisher, PFD for everybody on board, flares if it's required, depending on the boat, depending on where they are, things like that. We're going to walk through all those things. And then, quite often we run into a lot of vessels who are missing something. It doesn't mean that's the end of the world.
What's the most common thing to miss?
Oh, fire extinguisher, a Type 4 throw cushion, things like that.
Right.
And those are non-criminal infractions, so it's just kind of like an amped-up parking ticket.
Okay.
Those are usually about $77 for those.
Right.
Moving violations or not having your your PFD, that's a $90 citation.
Oh, wow.
But they're just non-criminal infractions that you have 30 days to get paid. Typically, we don't make exceptions on life jackets. Life jackets save lives.
Right.
I can't stress that enough. If you're missing something different like that, we may work with you with a warning or things like that. But we're not out there to hard time folks and give everybody difficulty when they're just trying to have fun. We want them to be safety conscious and think about all this before they ever leave the dock to know where their stuff is at. So if an emergency happens, then they know how to get the access, equipment and save.
And how many fire extinguishers are required on the boat of, let's say, under 26 feet?
Just one.
And then how many above 26 feet, or does it matter?
Two.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, so what are the most common tickets?
Just boating safety stuff in general for, not missing one of these things. Missing a life jacket, you've got 5 people on board, you only have 4 life jackets. Okay. You're going to get a citation if you're missing a life jacket.
Right.
If you have a fire extinguisher on board, but the gauge has lost its pressure, it's no longer serviceable, but you have it, I'm probably going to give you a warning for it because you didn't know that it had actually expired.
Right.
That's why we do our inspections.
Okay.
If you don't have a fire extinguisher and you've been boating for 10 years, and I know it, you may not get a warning, you may get something different.
Got you.
Every officer has their own discretion on how to handle that, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution because every stop, every boat, every person is different.
Right. And now the fishing regulations are pretty clear, right? You know what kind of size fish you can and can't have, and whether you have it in season or not. You know the regulations. If you fish and you have to have a fishing license.
That's right.
And then you should be familiar with the requirements for that particular breed of fish, right?
Absolutely. So what we call that is you're engaging in a highly regulated activity, sport fishing in the state of Florida. So aside from the license, the angler is also responsible for knowing bag and size limits, season, closures and things like that. And all that information is out there and is available. You can call FFWC, you can look online. We actually print out magazines that are free for distribution and give them out at Walmart or the DMV and things like that. That'll go over all that. We lean towards, first of all, education, and second of all, getting compliance from folks. We are not heavy-handed when it comes to citations. We write them, but if you were to compare the number of warnings that we give out, either just a, hey, make sure you get that squared away next time, a verbal warning, something simple like that, or a written warning, those far, far exceed the number of citations we actually hand out to folks.
All right, Officer Ramos, thank you. This segment, we talked about a lot of things, but I think the most important thing to know is that they're out here for our safety. And the main thing they're doing is checking our boats and our vessels for the safety equipment. And you heard him. He says they'll work with you on most everything except the most important thing, which is your life preserver, right? Your personal flotation device. So if you didn't take anything away from this, take away the fact that the Florida Fish and Wildlife places a really high priority on your PFDs. Make sure you have them, make sure they're in workable condition, and you won't get in a lot of trouble if they do their BSI. We're going to do one more segment on this, but I wanted to conclude this one by saying thank you, first of all, for doing this for us, keeping us safe, because, you know, what we do a lot of times is mainly car wreck cases, because that's the more prevalent, right. But we're all about safety, and we don't get to meet with y'all very much, and this is the time of the year where boating is a big deal, especially in the fall when it starts to get a little nicer out. Sure. So we appreciate Officer Ramos for being here, and if you have any questions, we're going to put links to everything he talked about in this segment, mainly the BSI requirements, and other Coast Guard related issues like the PFDs, the type of PFD devices there are, the different numerals, and we'll make sure those links are below here on the video too. Thank y'all for tuning in. Take care.